maybe what we will do is we'll do a quick check on your mood, current mood. Like, are you really excited or are you sad or probably neutral? What is the mood that you are in currently? You can use emojis and start typing in the chat window. Just that I want to do a quick pulse check about each one of us here. And unfortunately, we'll not be able to introduce ourselves because of the time constraint, but I'm hoping we will be connected for a long time, not only through this masterclass, but forever. All right. So can I get more emojis so far? Yeah, Pratyusha seems to be excited. Very good. Thank you, Pratyusha. Rashri ma'am. All right. All right. Manoj. Okay. Ajay, great. Okay, perfect. Any other responses? All right. Kiran is also super excited. All right. So I'm super duper excited actually. Like Narayan, I think you're neutral, but I'll make you feel the thunder for sure. All right. So I think Kiran, you have to give me access to share the screen. It's not allowing me to share the screen.
I have to give you. Okay, I made you the host.
Okay, but later on, I don't know if it is going to allow me to transfer the host access again. For that, I need to probably stop sharing. Okay, let me do this. Recording is still in progress. And just a second. Okay, I made you the host. Are you able to get the access?
Yeah, and I can see the screen. Can you?
Okay, perfect. Perfect. If somebody else joins, please take care of them. All right. So again, folks, welcome to the podcast masterclass, and I'm really super excited for hosting this session. And as you may have seen, right, I'm the founder and host of The Guiding Voice. I'm no longer calling it as just a podcast because Guiding Voice in itself is becoming a platform to enrich the careers and lives of millions across the globe. And we cater to professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs across the globe. And I'm going to share a lot of details about the Guiding Voice, how it all started, so on and so forth. And just in case if you haven't tuned into my podcast, I strongly recommend you to open any of the app from where you listen to the podcast and search for the Guiding Voice. We are there. All right, so let's get started and let me move on. Okay, here is a safe harbor statement / disclaimer. Though the masterclass says we are going to teach you how to earn money through podcast, it is not a commitment or promise from my side, okay, or from the TGV platform side, because I have started from scratch and I'm here because of my hard work, because of my consistency, creativity, so on and so forth. And I have been through a lot of hardships. I've been through a lot of toughs and crests and so on. But my passion, my persistence, perseverance, and my strong purpose is making me move forward. Okay. But remember one thing: when you want something, the entire universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. TGV is a good example. I started this podcast on May 17, 2020, and ever since there was no looking back. I initially approached my friends to be the guests on my show, and later on, I'm able to access so many high profile people. I'm going to share those profiles as well in the coming slides. So on that disclaimer, let me kick off the session. First of all, I'm sure you might have seen the flyer, okay, about learning this podcasting, and maybe it might have triggered some thoughts, okay, saying that, okay, let me try it out. But are you sure why someone should start podcast? Anyways, even if you are not sure, I'm going to clarify why somebody should start the podcast. And in fact, is it the right time to start podcast or not? So if you look at the left-hand side, there is a graph which talks about the number of podcast listeners year on year, right from 2019 to 2022, and extrapolation till 2023 and 2024. इसमें आप देखें तो like if you see this, the percentage of internet users is increasing, and there is a change in the percentage of users as well. However, there is growth in the number of podcast listeners. Like it is about 424 million in 2022, and we are expecting it to grow 10% year on year. Okay, in 2023 we are expecting 464 million listeners, and 2024 we are expecting 500 million listeners. And if we talk about the market, because anything that we start, right, we have to do some analysis in terms of what is the total addressable market, what is the revenue model, so on and so forth. So I'm presenting you some metrics related to how big is this podcasting industry as a whole. Like right now it is about $40 billion industry, but it is expected to be more than doubled by 2028. And India will hit 10,000 crore mark by next year. And India is the third largest podcast market. And if we were to put it in simple terms, podcasting today is what YouTube was 10 years ago, right? But is it easy to start a podcast? I'm sure it is easy, because I'm going to cover a set of topics, okay, and give you some primer info about how to you start your own podcast, how to record, how to publish and all. And when it comes to this production cost, it is not that expensive. In fact, production is not expensive. We can launch it for free as well. And it is a part of sunrise industry. So there is a lot of growth prospects, and you can monetize. I will tell you how I have monetized so far, but we have a long way to go. And it is a in thing, because many celebrities are launching their own podcasts. When I say celebrities, not only from film fraternity, but somebody who is a coach of international repute, who is an author. Likewise, there are so many people, and who is an entrepreneur. Those kind of profiles, right? They are also making their legway into this podcast industry. And good thing about podcast is you can access these podcasts and listen from anywhere. Okay, and while you are multitasking, so on and so forth. And it's free. There are so many platforms, okay, which will host your content for free. You don't have to pay even a single rupee. All you need is spend time. Any questions? And I think Kiran has mentioned in the chat window. As and when you have questions, please put it in the chat window, so that Kiran will ask the questions and he'll be moderating this. All right. Are we good with my pace and all? And in case if somebody wants me to speak in Hindi, do let me know. But if you're comfortable, I'll try to use as much simple English as possible. But if you think, okay, this is going haywire, do let me know. Okay. All right. Moving ahead. Let us, thank you, Pratisha. Move forward. Anyone can create a podcast. And here is an excellent opportunity for you to start your own podcast, right? And let's look at a few more facts. Okay, so mobile is a popular device from where people listen to podcasts. In fact, mobile has become a third hand or another limb for us, right? We don't step out of home without carrying a mobile. And if you're commuting, let's assume by public transport, you're done checking with your WhatsApp and getting caught up with all those Instagrams and all other social media, then what do you feel? You feel like listening to music. Maybe you're bored of music. Let me get some gyan. That's where people log into podcasts and start listening to the content, right? And 3 out of every 4 listeners in the US, right? They say they listen to the podcast to start learning new things. And 82.4% of the podcast listeners spend more than 7 hours a week listening to the podcast. In fact, I'm an avid podcast listener. Even till today, I listen to at least 1 to 1.5 hours of podcast from my favorite shows and all, like My First Million. And then you have Marketing School by Neil Patel and Eric Sue, and How Success Happens. Likewise, there are certain shows which I follow, right? And in fact, my podcast listening journey started way back in 2012. because my office was about 12 kilometers from my place, which is about 40 minutes of commute. I used to just listen to podcasts during my onward and return journey, right? And there are more than 8.5 lakh active podcasts and over 30 million podcast episodes. And if you consider the overall number, it is more than 2.4 million podcasts that are available on the internet. But out of which about 8.5 lakh of them are active, right? So these are the numbers. Moving ahead, again, I would like to touch upon the why podcast. It's about building your network. Consider me. I used to have 3,000 followers on LinkedIn way back before I started my podcast. And now I have 6,400 plus. And that number increases day by day. Every day I get at least 5 to 10 new followers, and these days it has increased further. And it also establishes a credibility for you, creates a brand for you, and you'll have access to high profile people. When I say access to high profile people, today I can reach out to literally any CXO of a small to medium scale organization, because I'm carrying TGV, the guiding voice brand. I'm associated with that. People just can Google for the guiding voice Naveen, and the entire first 2-3 pages are about me. And they will recognize, okay, this guy is into something serious. Let me talk to him, right? If I were not carrying that brand, probably I would not have had access to these many high profile people. And you will gain a wisdom, right? When I say wisdom, you are listening to the speaker. Since mine is a interview based podcast, you're listening to the speaker or the guest firsthand, and you're trying to observe what perspective that they carry, right? And that's how we are becoming richer by knowledge and wisdom. And you're also leader, your communication will improve. You may also become an influencer, or at least get into influence marketing. And there are many people who started their journey as a podcaster have become authors also. And it would be other way around also. Most of the authors like Seth Godin and all, who's a well-known marketing guru, world's #1 marketing guru, Seth Godin. He authored so many books. He launched his own MBA courses, and later on he got into podcast. Likewise, it can be either way. In our case, we started podcast, and we are going to publish our book also very shortly. And it's a kind of mini celebrity status, and you'll get media coverage. Most importantly, you're building your own community. Okay, you're building more leaders, and you're making them part of your mission. For example, my mission is to touch millions of people and influence their careers and lives, right? Likewise, I'm building a community on my own, and that community comprises of speakers and some regular listeners and well-wishers, so on and so forth, right? So by podcasting, you'll first learn a lot, not something like in nuances or nuggets, but you learn a lot, and then you will start earning. One disclaimer: if you're starting podcasting today, you'll not get the income next month or the following month. It needs patience. It can happen anywhere between 1 to 3 years, or in some cases after 3 years also. It all depends on how much willingness you have and how much effort that you are willing to put through, right? But most importantly, on any startup activity that you do, we focus on our purpose first, and give and work part of it, make it part of your passion, right? Once you start working on something which you are passionate about, right, you learn a lot, and money will be a side product, will be a byproduct, and it will come for sure. Okay, none of our efforts will go in vain. I spent more than 2,500 hours in the last 21 months, and I'm not going to stop, right? Because I'm getting stronger, I'm getting better after every conversation, right? And my zeal is increasing, and now I wanted to touch some diversified topics. I want to bring in more and more reputed speakers to my podcast, right? Likewise, this fire in my belly is increasing day by day. So that's why one should start podcast. Who has entered into the podcasting recently, right? You must be knowing this guy, Ankur Wariko. A lot of videos on Instagram, on all social media platforms, including YouTube and all. This guy also started his own podcast recently, Voice with Wariko. And then Chetan Bhagat, author of One Night at Call Center, 5 Point Someone. He's a motivational speaker, coach, financial advisor. He's an investment banker. He recently got into podcasting, deep talks. And I was talking about Seth Godin, Akimbo. Gary Vee, he's the most celebrated creator amongst the creator community. Oprah Winfrey and Cyrus, the most reputed comedian, right? And not only that, you have somebody from IBM, Deepali Nair, right? She is a chief marketing officer. And day before yesterday, she became the center director for IBM Bangalore. She runs her own show called Being CEO, and it is hosted on hours.com, which means she's not managing her podcast herself. She only does the recording and somebody else takes care of it. Likewise, there are so many avenues, okay, to earn money while you're podcasting. Not only running your own podcast, but if you become a pro in editing, creating graphics, socializing, and all these things, probably you can take the contract of somebody else's project, somebody else's podcast, and run the show on their behalf. This guy is Puri Jagannath, Telugu actor. He runs his Telugu podcast. HBR, Harvard Business Review. It is the topmost management university in the world. They have their own podcast. Ranveer Show, I think most of you might have heard about the Beer Biceps, Sadhguru, and Marketing School, one of my favorite podcasts. These guys, it's a conversational podcast. Daily they do. They recently completed 2,000 episodes. Just 5 to 6 minute audio. That's it. But a lot of stuff to learn, right? Likewise, you can also be listed here in case if you have that particular passion and rigor, right? So see, nobody is born celebrity or nobody is born leader. It is we who decide to be, right? Right now, if you look at my web presence, right, you will find everywhere. Just search the Naveen, the guiding voice Naveen Samala. You'll find me everywhere. It happened because out of my passion, because of my perseverance and all. If I can do it, you can do it. As simple as it. Okay, let's show some media coverage about TGV, right? This was on December 31st, 2020 on Times of India. This was March 31st, 2021. And this was yesterday's publishing on Pioneer. And in addition to that, we were covered on so many Telugu newspapers, almost all Telugu newspapers, right? And we got some surprises as well. This guy, Scott Jeffrey Miller, right? He works at Franklin Covey. You know what is Franklin Covey into? They are part of Stephen Covey's company. Stephen Covey is the one who authored 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this guy, Scott Jeff Miller, he's a chief marketing officer. He has his own podcast. He expressed interest to be part of TGV, and we are going to interview him shortly. I got a written note from him, and he shipped his book, signed to copy his book from the US. It came as a surprise to me. And we interviewed one more HR lady and author named Nimisha Kunat Chatterjee. She also sent her signed copy, right? And we participated in the various competitions. 2021, we were the finalists in Hubhopper Studio, right? And we stood second in the final jury selection. And right now, this next big creator campaign is going on, and I'm shortlisted there as well, right? Kiran, you want to talk about this?
Sure. I mean, you heard already so much about the press releases and all, right? But then, like, why should we listen only from Naveen? So he launched 194 episodes, which is not a small feat. It's a huge accomplishment, doing all the editing, podcasting, recording, everything, and very consistently. More than 20,000 listeners are there. Guests all over from 8 countries globally have come. And the podcast actually reached 100 plus 11 countries, right? There are people listening from all over the world. And one very interesting and fantastic fact is 45% of the women speakers are on, the podcast covered was by 45% of the women, which shows the diversity and how TGV supports the women. From an airtime, 5,000 minutes of airtime, and if you start doing podcasting, you will understand this is not a small feat to achieve. It's a huge feat. Creating 5,000 minutes. There is also a Telugu podcast called TGV Animutyalu, which was done under the Guiding Voice banner. So there were about 19,000 people listening to it. That was another huge hit. About 3-minute skits, comedy skits made by a bunch of us. That also, and this is available on all podcasting platforms. You name it, you have it, right? Geo7, Google Podcast, Apple, Spotify, everywhere. And this was also rated as a top 5% of the podcasts because of its quality, because of the kind of content that it brings. So these are the credentials of Naveen. I just wanted to highlight, and which is why this class makes a lot of sense, at least to me, to learn from somebody who has achieved so much. Go ahead, Naveen. All yours.
All right. On the diversity part, I am pleased to tell you that we have also roped in LGBTQ community. We have recently finished one episode already on queer queries answered, right? Because we are attaching ourselves to LGBTQ community, and that episode will be released very shortly. And that's a very bold move. But for me and my team, the whole purpose is to bring in that particular positive change so that it can influence somebody's career and somebody's life completely, right? Likewise, we are attaching ourselves to so many causes. Initially, we started mentoring people from tier 2, tier 3 towns, from not so great family backgrounds, like lower middle class, like just like me. Like I'm also hailing from a lower middle class family, and I didn't have enough guidance when I did my engineering. And it took a lot of hardships for me to get into corporate world. That's one of the primary reasons why I started this podcast. But eventually it is becoming bigger and bigger and evolving itself into a mammoth platform. And you will hear a lot about the Guiding Voice. We ventured into our blogging space also on November 1st, 2021. And ever since, we have published 16 blogs consistently week after week. Right. Yep, this is about me. And you can find me on LinkedIn or any social media platform. And these are the prominent guests whom I interviewed. Okay, Jagdish Seth, we interviewed him for our 100th episode. He's like a 85-year-old management guru with 6 decades of experience across across US prominent management universities and all. And Shakti Sagar, somebody who is from Hyderabad, can easily recognize. He's the IT pioneer who brought IT to Hyderabad. He worked as managing director for ADP, Intergraph, DESHA. And Jagdish Belwal, he's a CEO's digital coach. He was a GE transportation CIO, and he got inspired by me, and he started his own podcast now. Earlier, he used to do a talk called Clarity Chat on every Saturday. And then after I interviewed him, we had a couple of conversations, and he started his own podcast. Samir Nagarajan, Global HR President of Cadila Pharmaceuticals. Ratina Swami, he belongs to the Thyrocare family. His siblings are the ones who actually started Thyrocare, which is now sold, right? And Tushar Pradhan, Chief Investment Officer of HSBC. This happened through a PR agency who approached us. Hey, we wanted the head of mindfulness organization to do an episode, and at that time, head was not well, so they nominated this guy, and I interviewed them for free, right? And Dr. Nadia Jekshambayeva, she's a academician and now a reinvention coach. Like she runs her own reinvention courses, okay, which will shape and transform the company's future. Bharat Kalyan Ram, one of our ex-bosses, like super bosses, he retired as a Oracle SVP. Now he's a coach. He's also started his own Saturday night with Bharat kind of show. Again, he got inspired. Anju Kish, this is one of the most boldest move that we have taken very recently. And I'm telling you one secret. We interviewed her, and the topic is untabooing sex education. Right? And that interview came up really well. Look forward for the release in the next few weeks. And Kiran and I interviewed Sandeep Sharma, who happens to be the Real Page India Managing Director. And that was the only session which we did a live recording. right? And there are many more people. I thought I'll give you a glimpse of it. And in addition to that, we have authored these many authors: Amit, Nasiha, Sinjini, Nimisha, Charudatta, Bhavana, Sandeep Nath, and Risi. This lady, Risi, is Forbes 30 under 30. I interviewed her very recently. Her episode will also be released mostly in the month of April. And Tom Noser is another author. Shilaka Kulkarni, she's a LinkedIn influencer, top voice of LinkedIn. And now she's an author. She's also getting into podcasts. I'm helping her. Vijay Banda, he's a senior director with Qualcomm, and he authored 2 books. She's Marsha Ledford, another author from the US. Likewise, again, I just listed a few of them. But you might have a question: can I do it? Right? Can I do it? Can I do it? Do you want to know more? If you want to know more, you can type in the chat window, yes, I want to know more, or maybe give a thumbs up. Then I'm going to tell you the story. All right. So I see responses from Vamsi, Manoj. Okay, Aditi, wonderful. Rashi, Pam. All right, great.
Yeah, Aditi is our special guest. She's a 10-year-old attending your podcast.
Wow, awesome. I think, yeah, that's so great. Narayan, perfect. Let's move ahead, guys. So common mental blocks, which most of you might have. In fact, I had this mental block way back in 2018 when Sudhakar and Sudhakar is my co-founder, co-host. Of late, he stopped recording. He is not joining the interview episodes, but he's running the show behind the scenes and all. We contemplated this idea of launching a YouTube channel wherein we interview people from various backgrounds and all. At that time, I had all this mental block. I can't spend a lot of time. I don't know how to edit the videos. I'm not creative. Who will listen to me? I'm very shy. But now, fast forward 2 years, I'm here taking a podcast masterclass itself, right? So I'm the live example. So likewise, you can also break those mental barriers. All you need is passion. If you really want to create some difference and establish a brand for yourself, just jump in. As simple as it. Okay, let's assume you are ready, right? Now, what should you do? I'm going to walk you through some snippets or nuggets of how do we go about launching your own podcast. TGV of podcast, not the guiding voice, but something else. Let's see. And how to begin. And I'm going to talk about some basic software. And then I'll show you a demo also. Probably I'll show my own interface of my podcast hosting platforms, because the main channel, The Guiding Voice, is hosted on a paid platform called Podbean, whereas our secondary channel, which is Telugu Comedy, is hosted on Hubhopper, right? I'm going to show you both the interfaces and how I do, so on and so forth. See, before you embark on your podcasting journey, my advice is you need to think about type of the podcast. Am I going to do an interview based, or am I going to do a solo, or am I going to do just audio, or a combination of both audio and video, right? For example, TGV is purely interview based, whereas Animutyalu is a kind of conversational, where 3 or 4 friends are chatting, and we are able to start our own solo podcast. I'm planning to start my own solo podcast also, which is not about interviewing, but I'm going to talk about things that come to my mind, which will help people make some better decisions and all. And once you finalize this type, right, whether it is solo or interview, then think about the genre. Like, should it be technology or business, coaching? For example, TGV falls under this category: technology, business, coaching, personal transformation, entrepreneurship. Or you can think about, you may be good, you may be having good sense of humor, or you may be watching a lot of crime stories and you wanted to narrate the crime stories, or you want to educate people on what you have learned, or you want to do this music or movie reviews, or you want to tell stories. Any topic of your interest literally doesn't have any limit. Even you can launch your own podcast on explicit content also. That's a separate genre. Then there are so many Hindi podcasts in that space and English podcasts in that space. Likewise, there is no limit. All I would advise is think about your niche. What am I good at? What people, why people approach me? Okay, if you can crack that, then you'll be able to decide on that genre. And then vernacular. It's about language. Do you want to compete in English, or do you want to do it in Hindi, or your regional? In India, like Hindi is the highest spoken language, right? And if you come across the entire world, it is the second highest spoken language and all. So Hindi might be a good thing. And similarly, if you want to do something in Telugu or any other regional language of your choice, there are so many platforms like Kuku.fm, Hubhopper, and all. They are encouraging regional podcasters. You'll get a lot of support and boost from these people. All you need is zeal to share your ideas, share your learnings. Most importantly, be consistent in whatever you do. If you have any questions, I can stop here briefly for a few seconds, or else we'll cruise ahead. All right. Now, how to begin? So this is the small framework. Okay, you can launch your podcast in 4 weeks by following these principles. Launch your podcast. Okay. First thing is 4 Fs. Finalize your TGV, the type, genre, and vernacular, the language. And finalize your audience. Who's going to listen to my content? See, for example, initially we wanted to cover the student community in the age group of 18 to 25. But as we started making some progress, we thought, okay, let's cover young professionals also. And as and when we started doing HR fraternity and people from coaching background, they all started approaching us. Hey, I want to be on your show. I want to cover this topic. Then we decided, okay, Thursdays are dedicated for technology and entrepreneurship, whereas Tuesdays are more of self-development and transformation, personal transformation. And on Tuesdays, we launched so many episodes, be it cracking the HR interview or mindfulness, stress management, right? And how to be better at your personal finance. Likewise, so many aspects which are going to transform your life, right? And finalize your audience. In this case, think about the demographics. Am I going to concentrate on 18 to 24 or 18 to 35? For example, if we observe our current demographics, we have our audience primarily in the age group of 25 to 45. And in some cases, 45 to 55 are also leading the next level, right? And very few percentage of people who are beyond 55, right? And fix a schedule in terms of, okay, are you going to do a weekly episode or 2 episodes per week similar to TGV, or are you going to do once in 2 weeks? Likewise, once you decide all these things, then you can think about hosting platform. Because where should I put my content? How do I distribute my audio? You're not going to record and share it through WhatsApp, right? How do you reach to somebody whom you don't know? It has to be hosted on a platform, on a web platform, right? So for this, you have so many platforms like Anchor.fm, Hubhopper, Podbean, Buzzsprout, and then Castos, right? Libsyn, Kuku FM. There are so many different platforms. Those are all the hosting platforms. Once you identify the hosting platform, you need to compare, okay, which one suits me? Am I going to pick up the free platform or the paid platform? What are the pros and cons? Because when you are going for a free platform, you will become the product, which means probably the number of options might be limited to you. But trust me, Hubhopper is a free platform, but I would strongly recommend you to go for it. I'll tell you the reason when I show the demo. The TAD, but not a fad. What it is? Title, choose your title. For example, TGV, for a better future. The guiding voice, for a better future. Audio equipment. Look at this right now. If you are able to see my screen, right? This is the equipment which I'm using. It has a Z stand followed by a condenser mic and then a pop filter and then a foam cover, right? Despite of whatever the background noise I have at my side, right? You still will be able to listen to the filtered and noise-free content. But trust me, I started using Nokia phone with Nokia headset. And this was gifted by my wife after I did 30 episodes on my birthday. And you can go ahead and listen to my episodes before 30 and from 30 onwards. Sinjini Gupta, especially Sinjini Gupta, one of the authors whom I interviewed, from her episode onwards, I started using this condenser mic. You'll see that particular difference. Document, create content, okay, and store on appropriate collaboration platform. See, when I say creating the content, if you are planning to do a interview-based podcast, you are expected to create that interview script and maintain that particular information and all. Probably you can use Google Docs or Microsoft OneDrive or anything. All right, go ahead and share. the content there so that you will have access from anywhere. And moreover, you'll not lose the data. Similarly, all the published episode, okay, all the post-production edited episodes, better to put them on a drive. And most importantly, switch on your creator mode. Go ahead and record and edit your podcast, create artwork, and finalize your episode. Upload on the platform, and you're all set. So by following all these steps, you'll be able to launch your own podcast. Any questions before we move forward? Yes, you can host on Anchor. And Ajay said, yeah, we can definitely do this lifestyle, fashion, fitness, anything. Literally, it all depends on how you are going to do. I want to start. Perfect. Perfect. All you need is your own motivation. That's it. All right. So any questions before we move forward? How is the Josh now? Like, are you guys excited or nervous or neutral? Maybe you can use the chat window to express your emotions using emojis. How is the Josh? All right. While I get your responses. Okay. Let me talk about a few basic software, okay, which will help you in terms of launching your own podcast. First thing, right? First thing is artwork, like the graphics that you see when you search for a particular podcast, the artwork, right, that can be created on Canva. And Canva also has two modes, creator mode, I mean the free mode and as well as the paid version. And so far, though I have done 200 plus recordings and all, I still use the basic version. In fact, I started using Canva very lately. Earlier, I used to manage only through PPT and all because I'm pro at PPT. And I use Google Docs for collaboration. And you can use Pixabay for royalty-free images. And again, these are only tip of the iceberg. We have so many tools. And we use Audacity to record the content. If it is a solo episode, you go for this. If it is an interview episode, I would recommend you to get into Skype or Zoom or maybe other tool called Zencaster. And again, this is not an exhaustive list. Many options and features. And as you grow, as you scale, right, you'll realize that, okay, let me upgrade to a new tool kind of thing. But honestly, you can start everything for free at this moment. And you don't need to be a pro in anything because Canva has so many templates related to creating the episode graphics as well as artwork related to your podcast. And Google Docs is free, as you know, like there is a 15 gigs of limit, right? As long as you're able to use it efficiently, you're able to do this. And Pixabay has so many royalty-free images. Audacity is a free software to download, right? And again, this is not an exhaustive list. Let's bring it all together. First of all, let's assume you wanted to start writing the script to your show, right? Because typically, if it is a solo podcast and all, people have to research a lot, okay, in terms of bringing the content, exploring various sources, and then start putting in the Google Docs. What happens with Google Docs is you can access the content from anywhere, from any device, and learn to create artwork using Canva. I'm going to show some basics today. Finding the royalty-free images, finalize the template, making the thumbnails, and you can also use multi-screen formats. And Audacity is a tool where you can record the content and edit the content as well. You wanted to remove some unwanted bits and pieces, and you wanted to enhance the audio quality. You wanted to create the intro and outro. For those of you who are not aware of this intro and outro, that is a music that we listen. Okay, the moment you start playing some podcast, and then they talk about the bumper statement. Okay, why? For example, welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, the Guiding Voice for a Better Future. This podcast is to help professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs to shape your careers. And after that, there is a music out there. And then my actual interview starts. Within that interview, earlier I used to put the background music also. Over a period of time, I eliminated. Like that's why you will see at least 1% incremental positive change in every episode. If you listen 99 versus 100, there will be some difference. 100 to 101, there will be difference. Mix it all and make it final video. And all you now have to do next is publish your podcast using Auphonic. Auphonic does some more level of filtering and enhances the quality of your audio. And probably put it on Hubhopper or Anchor.fm or Podbean. Right now, Podbean is not accepting licenses from India because of taxing issues and all. For me, I created that in 2020 itself. So our license is getting renewal and we pay about $120 per year, right? And adding the artwork, which is created in Canva, and then add the audio, which is created in Audacity, export that as MP3. Once you have all this, just go to podcast platform and get the link and socialize with your friends. Anybody can access, be it from mobile device, be it from tablet, be it from your laptop, anywhere. All you need is internet connection, as simple as it. So far with me? Any questions before we move forward? All right, so I'm assuming silence has no questions, and let's take a look at Podbean or Hubhopper. Let me go to the, all right. I hope you guys are still able to see my screen. All right. The guiding voice. Podbean. This is my hosting platform. I'm going to give you a quick demo. And before that, parallelly, let me open canva.com. Okay, I'll show you how I have organized my content and how I'm collaborating with my team for creating the artwork, right? For example, recent designs. It has, okay, likewise. This is how we create 196, 195. And if you can see this Udajit Bowl content, it's already there. It's already there on the podcast platform. Just go to Spotify or anywhere. You'll find this particular artwork already available, right? All I do is I clone every episode. Okay, go here, and maybe my 197 might be Bhavna Rao, and the topic is entrepreneur as a leader. And let's assume if I have to put the picture, I go to some of this, and okay, I insert it. That's it. I download it and I send it. This is my artwork. I just download it as a, let's assume, PNG, and go here. Not all pages, but page number 2. So simply go here, done, download. My artwork is ready. And the artwork, recommended artwork is certain pixels. Okay, like 3000 by 3000 pixel only, then it will be accepted on all platforms. Now let me go to my main podcast platform, the hosting platform, right? I'm going to log in. And it will give me an interface. Okay, it has the list of all episodes. Okay, it has the interface. And then whatever I've scheduled for next week, it's already there. I do a lot of pre-planning and all. But if I were to upload a new one, I go here, select file. Here I need to select the MP3. So these are all the items that are in my queue currently. For example, I'll select this one, and I'm not, okay, and creating, I'm giving a title, 10 to elevate. This episode will be released on March 8th, where we interviewed mother-daughter duo on content creation. Okay, so I typically follow this format, where is title followed by the guest name. And here, since I have 2 guests, I'm putting it as Sneha, Ganesh, and TGV, say 199, let's assume. Okay. And for now, I'll create copy paste, but typically I give it a thought in terms of how do I create this description related to that particular episode. This is called as show notes. In fact, here you can also do any promotions. For example, I promoted a brand called the Surfshark. I'm going to play that one very shortly. And then if you want to have the ads placed and all, I typically give as 945. And then the episode number, the season number is this one, and episode number 199, let's assume, and it is full. And how to create the content that elevates your brand, fosters your network, making the most from social media connections, etc. And here I have an option actually. Permanent link. What I would say is, since I go by the name of the person whom I interviewed, Neeraja Sneha, and I have an option. I generated one image, right? It will be there in the downloads. Go here. This is the one. But since it is not belonging to her, if it was the original one, I would have selected open. But for now, I'll go with the default. By default, it goes by my channel artwork. This is my channel artwork. If I don't create a new episode graphic, by default, this will be displayed. Here, it has me and Sudhakar, and we have created this caption, #1 podcast for professional students, IT employees, and entrepreneurs. And right now, I don't want to publish it right away. I'll just schedule it. Go here and March 8th. Okay. And typically, I do it early hours of India. I click yes, schedule. That's it. Of course, I'm going to do further editing, but if you see my interface, it is here. Right. Now, let me go to our other platform where we hosted our Telugu podcast. Okay, studio.hubhopper.login. And here I say I'm going to log in with my Google account. Okay. This is my main account. As you can see, this is my Telugu podcast, and it has a brief description saying that you will meet 7 people, okay, who are kind of very good at humor and all. And as you see, when I prepared the presentation, it was 19,000 listens. Now it has already crossed 20,000 listens, right? And I said one good thing about Hubhopper, which I wanted to mention, right? I'll tell you. It has some tiered distribution structure. Right now, our podcast is available on almost all platforms. Like if you see Hubhopper, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and then Wink Music, Ghana, Amazon, JioSaavn, and all. And that did not happen overnight. It happened through consistency. We have released 16 episodes, out of which one of them was trailer. We concluded season 1 with 15 episodes. And as and when you cross 3 episodes, you'll have an option to distribute 4 of them. Likewise, as your level increases and as the number of listens increases, this guy will allow you to distribute directly. That is the beauty of Hubhopper Studio. All right. Any questions before we move forward? And here also I have an option. Only caveat with Hubhopper is you cannot schedule it for future. You have to launch the episode then and there itself. Okay, by selecting the file and the description, and then you are going to add the audio. And once you are adding the audio, you are simply publishing it. It doesn't have an option to schedule it for future. Whereas Podbean gives me that flexibility because I have a day job. I'm not into podcasting full time. What I do is I record 2 to 3 recordings on a weekend, or sometimes 6 week recordings, and we do the editing throughout the week whenever we find time after 10 p.m. or so, and then keep that list added and then schedule it. Okay, so that at least 2 weeks or 1 week in advance. At one point in time, I used to schedule 6 episodes at a time. Okay, for the next 3 weeks. Likewise. All right. So, any questions before we move forward? This was a brief demo. What is the difference? What is the advantage? Is it based on the audience time? I want to start, but I have no intellectual friend who can participate with me. Ajay, don't worry. We are there to support you. And Vamsi, to your question, the advantage of Hubhopper is since it is also a budding platform, they will give a lot of push for the creators. And one other advantage with Hubhopper is if you can play their 30-second trailer, okay, for continuously for 8 episodes, they will promote your podcast forever on the banner page. Likewise, you don't have to do much of marketing by yourself. Did I answer your question, Vamsi?
Hello.
All right, perfect. So this was the demo. Now let me quickly move on. And yeah, we did one promotion. Okay, just a second, guys. Let me stop sharing. I don't know, there is something wrong with the share. The PowerPoint. Just bear with me for another few seconds. I hope you're not able to see my screen now, right? Are you able to see my screen?
No.
Okay, great. Just a second, I'll come back. Share screen. I think, Kiran, you have to give me the host access back. Anyways, we don't expect anybody else. Tools and instrument basic to start the podcast. Yes, you have a set of mic. Okay, the one which I'm using is Samsung Q2U. It costs about 7,500. And I have the Z stand, okay, which comes with the pop filter as well as the foam stand, the foam cap and all, which is about 500 to 600. And again, the price is going to fluctuate from time to time, right?
Naveen, I made you the host.
Yeah.
For the benefit of audience, could you show that on the web?
Okay, you want me to show the link on the web or?
Something on this. Yeah, if you can just show like what those things are, maybe people will be more clear.
Yeah, I'll do that.
On the web, yeah.
Okay, I'll go to Amazon and search for Samsung. There are so many models out there, but the one which I'm using is cost effective as well as it is of high quality. Okay. Samsung Q2U, right? And
Moana is also a decent one, guys.
Yeah, Moana comes around 3,000 or something. Yeah. And right now they are giving you the headset as well, accessory bundle and all, right? And that is the advantage because these guys will change it from time to time, right? And it is coming to, I think price is not displayed, which means it is not currently in stock. Okay, and in addition to that, you have this Z stand, okay, for mic. And I'm trying to recall what is my brand. Mono by default gives you everything, but mine is of a different brand. I'm trying to recall. Okay, likewise, these are the ones, okay, which we will use. Right, I'll share those links as well, don't worry. And let me play a brief video of this one where I promoted a product for about 6 weeks and that generated my first ever monetization on the podcast. And before that, again, I think I need to stop sharing and share sound as well. I hope you are able to see my screen. Okay, this lady is Miss India UK 2019. She's a life coach now. And I published this on YouTube. At that time, do you want to secure your data while browsing on potentially risky networks? Are you worried about protecting sensitive information on your mobile devices when you are traveling? Do you want to access your favorite limited streaming services wherever you are by using VPN servers in the countries where they are available? If your answer is yes to any of these, Surfshark VPN is the right VPN service for you. It is jam-packed with features that go way beyond the basics. It is fast and easy to use as you connect to the fastest server by default. Also, it is easy to install. And the icing on the cake is you can run it on unlimited devices using a single subscription. Exciting, isn't it? There is one more exciting news. All TGV listeners can download Surfshark VPN software with 83% discount and extra 3 months of free subscription. Yes, you heard it right. Surfshark is offering this special discount exclusively to the Guiding Voice audience. To avail this offer, just visit surfshark.deals/TGV2021 and purchase the subscription. Click the promo link in the show notes right now. Hope you'll utilize this limited period offer and also share it with your friends. Thank you. Okay. All right. So how did it sound? That was my voice and I mixed it with background noise and all, everything edited, handmade by me. Okay. So now probably you might be questioning, where do I start, right? So here is the deal. Like you can actually sign up for our podcast mastery boot camp, okay, which comprises of hands-on coaching, and you'll get the direct classes by me in both Hindi and English, right? And this is unlike any other podcast coaching classes where they give you the recording link and you'll go through it and learn by yourself. Unlike that, I'm going to demonstrate everything practically, and it is purely demo-based coaching and tool-wise teaching with nuances, tips, and common pitfalls, because I learned everything from scratch. Even today, I'm editing many of the prominent episodes, whereas some episodes which I give it to our interns and all, but if it is a big shot that I'm interviewing, I edit myself. And I've edited more than 190 episodes so far, and assignments will be given to the participants to track the progress. And moreover, this will be a community-based learning wherein we are going to create a WhatsApp group, which will be active forever. In addition to that, we'll create one Facebook group as well, wherein we can learn from each other. And if you can also find accountability partner, right? And personalized one-on-one doubt clarification. Like whenever you get to a stage, right, you can ring me and ask me, hey, how do I do this? But most of the times, people around you will start helping you each other, right? And the icing on the cake, right now, as I said, TGV is becoming a platform on its own, right? We are insourcing some of the podcast editing from other creators, wherein if you think, let's assume you are really busy and you don't want to edit by yourself, you can outsource to us. And those participants who attend this workshop, right, we will give them internship opportunity where they get a hands-on experience in terms of starting their editing, creating the graphic design, so on and so forth. Eventually, this will also turn into a revenue model, wherein you will be paid some X amount for every episode edited or for every graphic that you generate, right? Likewise, this space is evolving. And this, as I said earlier, it is like what YouTube was 10 years ago. And imagine what it would be in 10 years from now. People who started YouTubing consistently, they are earning millions today, right? Actually, this is the course we have sold for 9,999. But those who are attending this particular masterclass, we will give it for 50% discount if you enroll by 9 p.m. IST. Okay, just WhatsApp on my number and you can use any of the UPI gateway options, either Phone Pay or Google Pay. Make the payment and you'll be added to the podcast mastery bootcamp. If you have any questions, I can take it on. All right. Yes, please. Is someone having a question? All right. So I'm going to give you my number. Of course, you're all part of the WhatsApp group. Yep. Aditi, you were trying to speak?
Yeah, that can I take your guidance for on what app should I start?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm also interested. Can you tell me the topics which is best for my age?
See, for you, probably you can start exploring some unknown facts, unknown stories, and maybe some stories which will have morals, right? Something with some hidden message and all, and start your own episodes, start teaching people in the way kids can understand. That could be one thing.
Thank you. And I'm starting it on Anchor. Is it okay?
Absolutely, you can go ahead with Anchor.
Thank you.
All right, guys. So this is all I wanted to cover in this particular session. If you don't have any questions, probably we can call it a day. And just to repeat, if you are interested to enroll this personalized coaching program and the hands-on boot camp, it comes for 4,999, and the offer is valid till 9 p.m. IST today. Okay. And I've shared my WhatsApp number. Hurry up. All right. And we'll, in case if you're not enrolling for this program, you can still be in touch with me. That's fine. Kiran, any closing thoughts?
No, I think we're good. So all of you are anyway in the podcast mastery. So there also you can drop a message, and either Naveen or I, we can coordinate if you are wanting to get into the boot camp, right? That's all we have. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate everybody's time and attention on a Saturday evening, and continue this passion. And I'm sure you will reach where you want to be. Thank you so much. And we are signing off for today. Bye-bye.